Directors meeting. Today is Wednesday, April 16th. Before we start, I'm going to go around the room, starting with, Principal Payne to identify everybody for or for Richard, and also welcome the new faces that have joined our board. So, go ahead.
All right, Tim Payne, Principal, Mount Anthony Union High School.
Chris McGuire, Principal, Mount Anthony Middle School.
Nelson Brownell, representing Pownell.
Scott McEnany, representing Shaftesbury.
Jim Culkeen, SVSU Superintendent.
Stephanie Mulligan, representing Shaftesbury.
Kristen Olmsted, representing Bennington.
Beth Wallace, representing North Bennington.
Katie Aiken, representing Bennington.
Dave Frederickson, Bennington.
Susan Plaisance, Bennington.
Sandy Foster, Pownell.
Glenn Thurber, Woodford.
And I'm Mike Malloy, the activities, athletics and activities director.
Nick Galt, Director of Human Resources.
Okay, perfect. The first thing on the agenda is public comments.
Electronically.
We will move on to action or to the agenda item 2, which is a time change for future meetings. I think this is on there because historically we've been meeting at 6. We moved this meeting to 5:30 and wanted to get the board's thought on what time the meeting should be going forward. Does 5:30 work or works better for me?
Yeah, I like it.
Yes.
Okay, then can I have a motion to approve the time change for the future meetings to 5:30?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Scott, second by Glenn. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Finance, I did not see. I think the treasurer's report will be posted when I check this morning.
I didn't see it.
Not yet, okay. We'll move on to the consent agenda. We have minutes, warrants, retirements, leave of absence, resignations, nominations, and field trips. That was on the the additional page, but isn't listed on the first, but can I have would the board like to do this together as one, or can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So. Second.
Okay, motion by Glenn, second by Scott. Any discussions? I think we have several field trips in this packet.
Agenda?
I believe because it is on, it was included on the agenda as the in with it, that historic, it's the page for the
Yeah.
consent agenda. We've
It's listed on.
it's listed.
It's
Okay.
part of the consent.
Yeah, I will ask Amy to make sure that goes on the front as well, but it was listed on the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, moving on. We have policies. We'll go one by one, I think, for this because we're adopting them.
I'm gonna pass the one. It's now the consent agenda.
Great. For A, policy number 2600, superintendent of schools evaluation and review. Adopt. Can I have a motion to adopt this policy as presented? So moved. Motion by Susan, second by. Okay, we do not have a second. Do you want to have it?
Yeah.
Oh, second by Dave. Okay. Is there discussion around this policy as presented? Then all in favor?
Aye.
We will move on to B, policy number 4100, alcohol. And a drug-free workplace. Says
Typo.
it's a typo, sorry, it's alcohol and a drug-free workplace, okay. Can I have a motion to approve that policy?
So moved.
By Glenn. Second. Any discussion? Second by Kristen. All in favor?
Aye.
Policy, item C, number 5175, possession, sale, distribution, and use of illegal substances. I have a motion to approve that policy.
So moved.
Motion by Scott, seconded by Dave. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
we will move on to the athletics update.
Thank you. Just a couple of things. The numbers are very good this spring, especially at the middle school level. And I just wanted to make you guys aware, we had 40 7th, 8th grade girls out for girls softball this this spring. And in speaking to the coaches and speaking to some other folks there, we decided that we didn't want to turn people away who were interested, but 2 teams of 20 girls on softball was going to be way too many. We had 20 or we had 2 teams that were we had coaches for. We found another coach who was going to be an assistant coach for the varsity, who was able to slide down. I reached out to Nick and Renee and Superintendent Cole Keen, just to let them know that this was happening. It is going to be a budget neutral kind of push, because we had some extra built in, so it's not anything that we didn't account for. I know sometimes we don't run positions, or we don't run teams that don't have the numbers. So this one we had extra. We found a third coach, and so we have essentially 3 teams of 13 that we're working with right now. So we do it. It's essentially a 8th grade red team, a 7th grade blue team, and then a combined team. So all the 7th, 8th grade girls were able to be on a team. And I think at the middle school, it's working out right now. We're able to add some games as well into the schedule. So just wanted to make you all aware that this is
Not a scheduling nightmare.
It was a little bit, yeah, it was. We had to be creative. And we added some squads we made some movement, added some teams. Yeah, so I think it's gonna work out. All the it seems to be we're happy that we found someone capable who could take the team and coach. And right now it's just for this season. It's not something that necessarily would be permanent, but we'll see what the numbers are next year. But it's good for the softball program in general. I mean, I think we have a pretty strong program at the high school, and that's part of the reason why the numbers are big for that. So it says action requested, but I don't know that they're yeah, it's in process right now. So
It's exciting to see, especially with girls' sports, because I know the girls' soccer had similar.
good
nearly
numbers.
42, right?
We added lacrosse at the middle school for girls. There's 19 girls, I think, playing girls lacrosse.
Awesome.
The boys lacrosse has 15 or 7th, 8th graders. Track numbers are in the 30s for middle school. Baseball numbers are good. So we're starting to see the numbers, which is only going to help us when they get to the high school level, when we have those big numbers at the middle school. So we want to encourage every kid who wants to participate in a spring sport to be able to do that. So we're able to accommodate that. Looking forward to the fall, this is number 2, the golf team. Our golf team is growing as well. And last year we had a full girls squad to go with a big boys team as well. And I think the numbers are going to continue to grow. The problem right now is we have one varsity golf coach and one assistant varsity golf coach. As the numbers grow, having just 2 people with a full girls team, a full boys team, and then kids that don't necessarily go out to a match, I foreseen that we need a third adult within the program. So I reached out to Nick and Renee as well. We have stuff built in, to the budget, although I didn't anticipate this when we built it, I think back in October, but I would like the board to give the okay for the fall to have a varsity boys golf coach, a varsity girls golf coach, and then an assistant coach that kind of oversees both of those. That way, if there's a girls match in, at one place, and sometimes they're not the same place, oftentimes they are, and a boys match maybe somewhere else, someone can still be back at the course, kind of working with those kids who may not have gotten invited out to the match. Because oftentimes it's 5 kids who will go play, but then there's another, 10 to 15 who will be on site, and I would not want to have to cancel practice if there's like 2 things going. So that's what I think our numbers are going to continue to grow. We haven't had a full girls team in like quite some time, and I think there's younger girls who are picking up the sport, and they want to kind of encourage that. So that's what I'm just looking for guidance, or my recommendation is that we add a varsity boys and a varsity girls position for golf in the fall, and keep the same assistant coach kind of model. So I just add 1 coach for that.
Can I ask
Yeah, go ahead.
So I'm a golf mom.
Yeah.
This is on the team.
Yeah.
And I think part of why we've had such a great growth in the girls is that she started in middle school being able to practice with the high school team because we don't have like a middle school golf program, right? So I'm supportive, obviously, of having that assistant coach position. And I wonder if I don't know that was ever advertised to us in middle school. I think it's because I don't know.
Right.
We just knew the folks who were coaching, but if that's something that could be formally.
So there isn't a middle school, like within the BPA, there isn't a middle school golf anywhere. So I do know kids who maybe were, part of the club or wanted to, would kind of come and practice. I did have a meeting with Mr. Griffin, who runs the country club, and he is happy to have Mount Anthony a part of the country club, but is cognizant of supervision, and the more kids that are there, that just adds, to that. So I would say the middle school thing probably should still be on almost hey, check in and, make sure it's okay. Cause we technically don't have a middle school team. So if that kid was going up to play, then, they've got to check in and kind of make sure on that, but it is growing, and I think you're right. It has to start at that youth level at that middle school or, below that. And that's when the kids will get, attached to golf. Last year we had, I think it was, 5 or 6 girls were participants on the squad, and then maybe close to, 12 to 15, boys on the team. So in numbers, there were not very many seniors at all. So I just see that continuing to grow. So I'm trying to, be a little more predictive of what could happen.
If someone's gonna make a motion to
Yeah.
support this, what position, what's the title?
So I would want them to, so right now it's a varsity football coach and an assistant varsity coach. I want to change that or make the motion to a varsity boys and a varsity girls, or if it's cleaner, like varsity coaches or whatever, but I just add another varsity
Another varsity coach.
coach.
Can I ask one more question though?
Yes.
How, so for kids in high school that do not have their license yet, how do they get their equipment back and forth to the golf course?
Yeah, there is place that some of them leave it up there. So
Leave it
there are some that leave there, that whether there's locker storage or, but oftentimes because they then need it for matches or whatever, they will figure out a ride it's almost similar to I know the Nordic ski we created, wasn't there some shed or something that was
Yes.
Yes.
This is a donated shed.
correct?
But I was just more wondering about just even transportation, right? Like, do they have to walk?
They
Can
get
they ride the
themselves to,
monument?
there is no bus route up to the course. That has not been, kids have not, nobody's reached out yet about that, so.
I just want to.
Yeah.
I just don't want to create.
Yeah.
Like, like the Nordic, right? Like the only way, way is to know
Correct.
somebody to get up there. I just want to make sure we're giving access to everybody that wants to do it.
I mean, there is a bus that runs up Bank Street.
Right, yeah, but in the same thing happened with the trip to Woodford, I got permission to get the Nordic kids onto the bus, so that could happen if we needed it. But I haven't heard that as a need yet, yeah.
Any other questions?
I'd like to make a motion to approve a second varsity coach
Second.
to the golf team.
Okay, Susan made a motion, one seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? That's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll move on to the administrators' reports. We don't have the student representatives this evening. I'm hoping that they know the time change in our meetings. Yeah, I was just wondering if you see them, we could communicate to them to let them know that it's earlier.
Chloe could be up playing tennis at like, so she's on the tennis team, so that there was a match today.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. Up in Manchester.
Okay, we'll move on to the high school.
Okay, a couple of things. I wanted to go back and add something to the last report that I missed. Recognition, Ryan Maroney, who's a graduating senior, was the recipient of the 2025 Community Service Award from the Vermont chapter of the National Football Foundation. That's a $500 scholarship. Ryan was recognized for his work in youth sports and for his time spent doing Wreaths Across America, which benefits the Vets Home Fund. Correct with that. So thank you to Coach Gordon for pointing that out, and thank you to Ryan for his service to the community. We at the high school completed the 2025 VT CAP testing during the week of March 31st through April 4th. That was since our last meeting with this board. Ninth graders followed a 2-hour delayed schedule. They are tested in math and ELA. 11th graders followed a 2-hour delayed schedule. They are tested in science. I wanted to thank Sarah Mnuchin, who is an English teacher at the high school, and Stephanie Schaff, who's a math teacher, for serving as test coordinator, which is a really big responsibility in addition to being a classroom teacher. They did an outstanding job with the support of Kelsey Mizell, who is our director of instruction and assessment. We also hosted the annual college fair last week, April 10th. We had 50 colleges and several branches of the military represented in Case Gym. Students from Mount Anthony, from Hoosick Falls, from Arlington, and Floodbrook Middle School attended the event. I want to thank Ashley Lewis, who is a school counselor, for organizing the fair. It's always well attended, and it's always interesting to see kids interacting with the various representatives. We also are currently participating in Spirit Week. Today is Pink Day, just for those of you wondering what you should have done for Wednesday. It's Friday.
What day is it? Pink? Oh, okay.
So this is the only pink shirt I own. Friday will be the traditional red, white, and blue, and tomorrow is country club or country. You can choose which one that you want to. So we'll see. Next week is April break for staff and students, April 21st to 25th. I always give this announcement to moms and dads whose students are telling you that they don't have school next week. They are telling the truth. Mount Anthony's Drama Club is presenting the play Six. That will be May 1st through the 3rd. I'm not familiar with the show, but it is the story of the 6 wives of Henry VIII. And they gave us a preview today at the faculty meeting, and they are very, very good. So tickets will be available for sale through the main office. As always, I encourage folks to come and visit. They're going to have seating in the pit. It's going to be very close to the action. So it should be a good show to take in. And then the last thing I thought folks should know is that May, of course, is the month of advanced placement testing going on. That starts May 6th. This year, we provide 13 different subject tests in the College Board advanced placement testing. 83 students have signed up to take 155 different tests. We have students who take more than one subject and sit for more than one exam per subject. So May is a busy month. We'll be off to the races as soon as we come back from a well-deserved April break.
Band Day was yesterday too.
Oh, Band Day was yesterday. Yeah.
It was, what a crowd last day. So Band Day Yeah, that SVSU did their first SVSU wide band per day performance. So the kids all came from all the schools, all the elementary, the middle, the high school. They spent the day and then they performed
Big
at
show.
night. Like, I mean, like the gym, the capacity. It was old time Kate's last night, Dave, for on top of a baseball game and a softball game. It was like Woodstock on the like people were parking wherever and just leaving their cars and going. So it was good.
Tim, I went to the Pops concert and as per usual, it was a great show. But the only reason I knew we had a Pops concert is because I heard it in a school board meeting. And there wasn't a great crowd. I thought we had someone that was supposed to publicize all these good things we had going on.
Yeah, so Lynn Sweet and I are co-teachers for a class every day, and we talked about it. I will tell you that in the last couple of weeks, she's been dealing with some things outside of school, and she has said that, hey, you know, the promotion side of it has lagged a little bit, so I would think it's just this year, and we'll get back on track. But usually she's really on top of making sure the message goes out. But that's a good point. Pop's concert was a little more lightly attended this year than we usually see.
And we are in process, of fixing that sign. The sign that is on the corner of County and Park has aged and it can't really be updated as smoothly. It gets off kilter. Like there's things off. I don't know, people may have noticed. So we're looking at that over April break to like start the process of like, you know, changing the inner circuits are not working as well as they
I think
used
it's not very old.
It's been, yeah, I mean, there was parts were donated, 2010, 2000, so it's going on.
I thought the sign said it was
2000.
donated by the club, oh, maybe.
Yeah, it's going on 15, 16, yeah.
It's all blue.
Yeah. Like it was that
It
one,
doesn't-
but.
So my student reported loving being able to hear part of the Pops concert during Flex Block. And also my reviews of the college fair. I still have a stack of materials on my tables.
Thank you. Lynn's goal is to make the play available to all students. So 2 daytime performances. We're working that out as again, a little bit of personal and professional mixing, and I'm not giving any away details. The show was originally scheduled for a week ago, and it has been moved now to a week after we return. So just kind of reshuffling some things. So we're trying to, her goal is that every student in the building have an opportunity to see the full show. It's a rather short show too. So if you're only picking one show a year, 70-minute show, if that interests you, come on in, but 6 should be lots of fun to watch. But that's very nice. I'll pass that along.
I'm looking forward to seeing how they adapt it I've seen it on Broadway. I'm interested to see how they adapt it for
She
high
was
school.
really clear at faculty today. That is the high school version.
It's going to be, I can only imagine.
Yes,
it's gonna be
thank you for pointing that out. It is a high school version of the play.
fantastic.
What? Is it
6.
6.
Any other questions? We'll move on to the middle school report.
Sure, thanks. I was over here, I wasn't checking a, social media account that I do not have. When Mr. Pam's giving me his report, you said something that made me think, hey, I gotta add something to mine, so I was checking dates. Not a social media guy. So first, first testing, fun stuff, right? We'll start with that. We've wrapped up our VT cap testing at the middle school. We had scheduled ours within the window a little earlier than the high school, so I think I reported out on that last time we met. But we're preparing for our last round of testing for the school year. That's the math testing, measures of academic progress. We're looking at testing on May 6th, mathematics, and May 7th for reading. I've talked about it in front of the board before. We're planning a big event to kind of celebrate student growth and students meeting proficiency. That's an event that the whole school participates in. If we meet our growth measure, it's not singling out, students that have met growth or not, but as a school, if we've met our growth measure, we come together. It's been a really good incentive that we've really focused in on the last year or so, and we've really seen good results on kids really trying on the test and seeing the growth measure results, which is something that, you know, Mr. Payne used to preach at the middle school, and I continue to preach, you know, if we focus on growth, we'll get to proficiency. So I do want to thank again, I know I did it the last meeting, but it's worth mentioning again, Rachel Kitt, teacher at the school, math teacher at the school, also my testing coordinator. The amount of hours that goes into preparing for these things, the amount of behind the scenes work is really kind of unimaginable unless you're in it. And she's just done a great job. And Mrs. Austin, associate principal, who helps with curriculum and instruction and assessment and a barrage of other things, has been really helpful in the testing coordination. I have a couple exciting dates coming up that I want to announce. So we have our Rising 6th and 7th grader open houses coming up. So that's for students coming into 6th grade and coming into 7th grade at the middle school. On May 8th, we'll be hosting open house for Rising 7th graders, that's students going into 7th grade. I had to train myself to recognize which grade level it is. Going to be confusing rising when we say rising 7th, but it's kids going into 7th grade. That will take place again on May 8th from 6 to 7:30 at the middle school. It's an opportunity for students and families to visit. We give them a tour. We give them an opportunity to ask some questions about being a 7th grader next year. And then on May 1st, which I know is before May 8th, but on May 1st, we will be offering the same opportunity for rising 6th grade students and families. That's 6 to 7:30, May 1st at the middle school. So those are two kind of exciting dates coming up. Then we also have some welcome days that we have planned. This is something we've done for a number of years at the middle school. On May 13th, 14th, and 15th, we'll be hosting welcome days for students rising to 7th grade. These welcome days take place during the school day. Students are transported to the middle school from their sending elementary school. Staff come with them. There's some discussion between school counselors and school staff while students are teamed up with middle school students of the grade that they will be going into. So, you know, 7th graders, current 7th graders will be meeting up with kids that are rising to 7th grade coming from sending schools. We do a student panel and then they spend some time day in the life at the middle school hanging out with, some students that are in that grade level, visiting some classes, going to lunch and spending some time together to kind of see the building and see the flow and the culture of the building. So it's a fun day. You know, it's a good time to just kind of connect with kids that are coming into the building, and so it's something that I enjoy. And then on May 19th, 20th, and 22nd, I will be giving a quiz on this at the conclusion of the meeting. Hopefully you're taking good notes. Just kidding. On May 19th, 20th, and 22nd, we'll be providing that same opportunity for rising 6th grade families. So again, just exciting things that the spring brings. I wanted to give a little hiring update. We've been, talked at last board meeting around foreign language position at the middle school. I currently do have a lead on a few candidates, and Mrs. Austin is helping me. We're in the process of scheduling interviews and talking to candidates. So as I've said before, I need to have a foreign language teacher that can take on some sections of Spanish, and I'm hopeful that I can find a foreign language teacher that can teach another language, possibly French, but I'm working with what I have in the pool right now. So I'll continue to update the board as I work through that hiring process. And then I have a math position open, which came up at the last meeting as well. And again, I have candidates to work with. I've assembled a hiring committee and we're beginning some interviews with math candidates the week that we return from break, before 28. So it's just a little update. I'll keep the board updated as I work through those committees and meetings. And then the thing that I wrote down that Mr. Payne made me think about was my annual career fair, which Hannah Green, one of my school counselors, does an amazing job coordinating. It's been a huge success for a number of years at the middle school. Get really great feedback from it, from both, students, community members, families, all of the above. That is scheduled to take place on April 30th at the middle school. Yeah, I don't have the time right here for me. It's in the morning of the 30th. I'd have to report back with the time, but it will be taking place in the gymnasium at the middle school. And Mrs. Green, I just want to thank her for just, again, a lot of coordination and work to kind of reach out to all the community partners and, organize all of that. Um. I think that is what I have. Oh, the only other thing was that I still, just put another plug in for, you know, the opportunity to bring some students, to, the school board, upcoming school board meeting to talk a little bit about our 21st century, experiences that we have going on after school at the middle school. That is the, you know, large grant that we were awarded this year for the district, to fund after-school activities. So I'm hoping that, you know, I've talked to the site coordinator, in my building, Kelly Brooks, and, he's, you know, he's excited and he'd love to, you know, coordinate with me and, you know, have some kids come talk to you about things that they're working on and accomplishing in the programs. And we'll stop right there. Thank you.
Does that mean you're not doing a traditional hiring or you haven't been able to
It
find?
doesn't, I'm trying to purposely not identify the exact number of candidates I or something, and I'm like,
Just a traditional hiring
Yes.
process.
yep, it is, yeah, it's been posted on School Spring. It's traditional, we've had to repost it a couple times, which is traditional, we have to do that often. We've had to repost it a couple times, but they do have some leads on some candidates now,
Thank
but yeah, traditional process.
Career fair is 8 to 10:30.
You are awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. I knew it was right around 8:30. I just didn't have the exact time written down.
I guess, can I ask a quick question about going back to the foreign language? So if the, you do identify a teacher that's able to teach French, or one of the questions I was gonna ask for the superintendent to put on the agenda for a later meeting is to understand whether the high school will be offering it. I know that they weren't, you know, I know we talked about it last meeting, but that, it generally wasn't on the registration forms because you guys were sorting things out. So I wanted to make sure I understood like what the update would be to the community about that topic.
So if I can just say first, and then Mr. Payne can, you know, chime in, but, my plan is to, once I understand fully the, you know, the capabilities and credentials of the candidates that I'm working with, my next step will be, you know, communicating to Mr. Payne so we can have that, you know, have conversations around that, but that's all I have to add to that.
You want me to give an update too? So, this week we're building the master schedule at the high school, so we've taken student requests and we're building out sections that we need. In both German and Spanish, offering class, German 1, German 2. Your average class size is 16 kids for sections of that. For Spanish 1 and 2, average class size is about 19 or 20. There's enough sections for 2 teachers to have multiple sections of 1 and 2. There is a German 3 and 4 class. It is a combination because that class is less than 10, which is a little bit of bending of the expectation of board policy that thou shalt have more than 10, but we're doing that to preserve higher level. And for 3-4 in Spanish, it's about 16 kids. So that's a healthy number. Not bad considering you're combining 3s and 4s together with that. The teachers, both of those teachers, in order to have a full schedule, one teacher offers a foreign language tutorial in both semesters. So that'll help students who are studying at a higher level prepare themselves to take AP if they want to. The other teacher, in order to fill their schedule, is the supervising teacher for virtual high school. We are required to have a teacher assigned a semester block each, a block each semester, so they can be available to help any student enrolled in any virtual high school class navigate the system, update the grades, make sure that they're pacing along. So we have enough work for 2 teachers, and if Chris is able to find someone who can teach French and builds that out, that's an opportunity for the future, but we don't need a 3rd teacher right now. And I think we talked a little bit about the last time, we'd have to overcome a little bit of a scheduling challenge in that Chris's middle school is set up in a way that 7th graders take their electives, which foreign language falls into on one side of the day and 8th graders the other. doesn't mean that no school couldn't solve that and we could split a person going forward.
That's,
And we have been talking about, I got an email from someone in the state saying, hey, are you really looking for a French teacher? So we have talked about having a conversation with that individual, so.
Right, thank you.
Oh, and one other thing, I'm sorry, I did meet with the students that had forwarded the board a letter of concern. I met with 2 out of the 3. One was sick the day that we sat and met. We had a lovely conversation. They seemed appreciative of understanding the numbers and all that. They are both students who would be in the 3 and 4 category as far as looking for. Actually, one of them has exceeded that, so they're looking to go beyond that.
Your administrative reports, the superintendent mentioned a few
Yeah,
items.
Please,
Thank you.
because I.
It takes these, there is a legislative forum for Vermont Education Review. It's gonna be April 28th. So we are supporting this. We are not the sponsors of it. The sponsors, you can see, is the American Association of University Women and the Bennington County Individual. So we're supporting it by it's going to be at the high school. My understanding is these 2 senators gave this presentation up in Arlington, and with all that is going on in the state, as far as ed reform goes, it's a very timely meeting. So the 28th at the high school at 6 o'clock. So I'm just passing that information on to you. And then the only other thing I want to mention is the last day of school, which is once we get into April, we usually announce when that's going to be. It will be in the newsletter this week. I know it went out to the principals yesterday. Last day of school will be June 13th, which is a Friday. The staff will have scheduled work days the following week. They'll be under the supervision of building administrators, director of curriculum instruction and assessment during that week, because they work a few days beyond what the student day is. So the 13th of June will be the last day of school. As long as we don't have any.
Stop. I got a little nervous when you were talking about it.
You know, that's why we wait till later in April, because we don't, it's like in baseball, you can never talk about that no hitter until it's over, right? Because otherwise you jinx it. So we don't like to talk about the last day of school until we have, but everyone wants to make plans. So that's it.
Okay, well, that works well with one of the items on my list that I wanted to talk about is I had numerous feedback from community members last year about the declining attendance at the moving up ceremonies and graduations. So I want to get out, like, make sure that the board has the ability to plan and know when it is like ahead of time so that people can come. I guess, I had always thought those days were about the kids and that they wouldn't notice if we were here, but they,
There was
Yeah. yeah, so I want to make sure that, we can be there and represent both at the moving
You
up
wanna- your
ceremony.
graduation date and your moving up date.
we wait till that announcement.
That's fine. It
I haven't solidified.
Graduation is.
June 6th, June
June
6th, 6 PM, June 6th.
So in addition, though, for the high school, if you are, as a board member, you're always welcome to sit, and we are gonna sit you right up at the top because you hand out diplomas and you shake hands. You don't have to, you can sit in the audience too, but if you do, then you get another question is, do you want a cap and gown? And so just let us know earlier than later and we can make sure that you're properly attired for the stage.
Then I can send an email to Jim as soon as I have that solidified, now that all this is set.
Traditionally, what do you do for the Thursday?
We often do it the third, it's usually on a Thursday
Thursday.
before that last Friday with students, but that's not an official. Just to be clear, that it's not an official date yet, but yes, we have,
There's other people you need to consult before you publicly announce it.
there are a couple, yes.
What would be the best way to communicate for the board who wants to go to those?
He wanted you to send that information to Amy Goslin,
Okay.
and then she can send it out to all the board members.
Oh, sure. And then the board members can respond to her and let
Yep.
them know.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. The other item on my list is I missed adding an agenda item for this meeting, which we had a request by a board member to have a just an update on how the cell phone bags are going. And so I was wondering if we could come to the June meeting prepared to have a conversation for that. And then the only other item was, just a quick conversation about board training. I know we've had some discussions back and forth. I didn't know if you, Jim, you want to look at what options we have now that we have a full board to have a training together.
Thank you. Yeah, because we had inquired with the School Board Association to come and do,
To do it as a group.
as a group, yeah.
Stephanie, I know you said June update. You want us to report out in June on the cell phones not in the May meeting?
Not the next.
I think Katie's not gonna be here and she'd like to hear it. So, so the June would be great, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
And then if, you know, in terms of bringing the kids for the 21st century, I mean, if it would work for the superintendent to have them come in May, I don't know whether for the May meeting, whether that makes sense.
I think I'll touch base with my team and just make sure there's no conflict or anything, but yeah.
After June, they'll probably, after school ends. they'll
Yeah,
probably-
no, that'd be
Yeah,
great.
the June meeting, then.
Is it?
If you either grab them. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that is all for the items that I wanted to bring up. We have FYI in the packet, the budgets, and we have the audit and the management letter in the packet as well as the drill mural, the calendar and the AOE guidance for school. We're gonna move on to item number 11, which is the executive session. The one VSA 313A1B, the labor relation agreements with employees. Can I make a motion to bring the superintendent in as well as Nicole from HR?
So moved.
Motion by Scott,
Second.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
We will, I believe we have an action item to come out, so
The cat TV's back then, Richard doesn't see, I can look.
Okay. great. I have a motion to adjourn.
Don't move.
Thank you.
We got an active, this stuff. Good stuff.
Not used to having so many people.
All right, so we have to switch over to,
I gotta do a different Zoom.
I gotta,
You know.
that one.